Hello everyone, I'm BaltMatrix, and today we're taking a look at some new Cyberverse Deluxe class figures. We have Prowl, Soundwave, and Starscream. I picked these figures up over at the Big Bad Toy Store. I was really looking forward to getting these things because I thought Cyberverse was dead. Surprise, surprise, apparently it isn't. Starting off by taking a look at the one Autobot in this wave, we have Prowl, and this is a very strange figure, and the reason I say that is simply because of the plastic. All of the white plastic you see here is translucent. It's almost the same as what we had with Siege Apeface, but not quite. It's very strange. So, specifically the parts I'm talking about, the shoulders, the wings, part of the chest, and the feet, are all this weird translucent light plastic. Oh, and the head. Sorry, the head too. Are all this weird translucent white plastic. It's not awful, mind you, but it feels very strange in the hand. See what I mean? Really translucent. It's just so weird. Plastic aside, the figure looks fan-freaking-tastic, and the coloring and the paint are all really well done. While good, the head sculpt is a little bit weird. That face is very thin and just feels more anime-like than anything else. Prowl comes with 3 accessories, his gun and these 2 missile blasts. As you can see, they fit on the weapons that he has on his shoulders. I wish these were a little more posable. They can only point like that and back. They can't go any farther forward. And that's about it. That's about it in terms of accessories. You can fit the blasting bits on the tip of his gun or on the tip of any other Cyberverse figure. Posability is pretty darn good. Head is on a swivel. There is a ball joint in the shoulder and then a hinge for the transformation. Swivel at the upper arm, 90-degree bend at the elbow. Fists do articulate on swivels, but good lord are these swivels on these wrists super tight. I'm not even going to try to move them because I think they're going to break. Ball joint in the hips, swivel at the upper thigh, bend at the knee that's kind of double jointed thanks to the transformation, and some foot articulation. Not as good as Siege figures, but good enough. And there is a hole in his butt for a figure stand. The hollowness of the figure, you can't really avoid it. All the bits are hollow, legs are hollow, forearms are hollow. I mean, even the chest is super hollow, but that's all to accommodate the transformation, specifically the legs and the chest, that is. Height-wise, the figure scales to just about the same size as a Siege Earthrise current deluxe, and is a little bigger than most of the deluxes that are showing up in Kingdom. Even though it scales fine with all the other figures, the one issue I have with this particular Prowl is the discernible lack of heels. So whenever I try to pose him, he ends up falling over because there's really nothing in terms of heels for this figure, which is a shame. Before we move on to the transformation, yes, I should compare him to, I don't know, Siege Prowl, but Siege Prowl is boxed up right now, and I really don't feel like getting so much white on the screen at once, so blue streak it is. Alright, transformation is kind of how you expect this to go. I like to start off with the feet and then fold the outside of the feet up like that and open up the panels on the back of the legs. Come to the chest and grab the entire chest and just kind of wedge it away from the figure like so. Turn the arms such that the shields for his police badge or the police badges are pointing forward. Then grab the whole backpack and fold it down. Flip out the roof and snap that into place, and then fold the shoulder guns back and down like this, so kind of like that. Take the entire back and flip it up over the head, so the head is going to be kind of in the middle of the car mode. Fold the shoulders in, and then fold the arms straight down, and do the same thing on the other side. And this is a little weird. It doesn't feel like it should sit like this, but this is the way it actually does. Come down to the legs, fold the toes in to the backs of the legs, flip the legs up, and this part is a little bit tricky. You might think that you want to fold these hip flaps up. Don't do that, because if you do, you're not going to be able to actually close everything up. Pick the backs in together. then take the entire top of the car and accordion it down and get those arms back into place, and then just close everything up and snap the doors into place. And believe it or not, snapping those doors into place is the hardest part of the transformation. And here we have Prowl in car mode, and I've got to admit, this is really nice. This is a really nice car mode. It just looks good, except for the, translucent plastic. And that's where I really have problems with the transformation. The plastic just doesn't feel quite right, and it feels very brittle. And I feel like I'm just going to break the damn thing. But overall, I got to admit, I like the car mode. I just wish that the paint was better, because the blue back here and on the roof is different from the blue that's here on the side and the front. So yeah, it's typical Hasbro, but there's not much I can do about it, and I don't have a 3D printer to print better wheels either. So I do appreciate the fact that the weapon and the little gimmicks can be used in this mode. You just put the little blaster bits on the back as exhaust guns or exhaust flames. It works. I just wish they weren't so dang bent. Oh well. Overall though, I like Prowl. It's a good version of this character, even though he didn't show up in Cyberverse all that much. Next, let's take a look at Soundwave, and Soundwave looks absolutely fantastic. This is such a nice looking figure. He comes with 2 accessories, and we'll be talking about them in a minute, but there's just one major problem with this figure. It's so back heavy, and it doesn't have any heels, that it has a tendency to fall over a little bit too easily. It's not a huge problem as long as you pose it correctly, but if you don't have the knees quite right, he just falls flat on his back like a sad turtle. This is probably the best looking Soundwave from Cyberverse we've ever gotten. It's excellent. It's well painted, it's well molded, it looks exactly like the character does in the show, and it's just fun. The only complaint I have is the head sculpt doesn't seem to scale with the rest of the figure. It feels too small for the body, but it works overall. Looks really nice, just feels a little tiny. Shoulder has a swivel and a hinge, and that's a nice ratcheting hinge. Swivel at the upper bicep, bend at the elbow. Fists do move, but they are on very tight ball joints, but they do move. There's a torso swivel, and I forgot to mention that Prowl also has a torso swivel, and then ball joint, swivel, bend at the knee, and toes. But I really feel like I need to go in here with a sand or a piece of sandpaper and sand this down a little bit to give the foot some more articulation forward. It does have side to side, but man, is that hard to move. Ugh, and it feels like it's gonna just frickin' break. Unlike Prowl, there is no butt plug for him to actually be pegged into a figure stand, but he does have some accessories. The first accessory you saw was this, that's got a waveform on it, and it works. It plugs into his gun, which does detach and can be wielded in robot mode via his hand, though like Prowl, it's really hard to get the gun in place, and as you can see, he has a tendency to have to point it down, so yeah, I'm not sure how much use that's actually going to be in battle. The other accessory that Soundwave comes with is Laserbeak. We got a little Laserbeak here in the chest, which I greatly appreciate. It's not painted all that great, but who cares? Fold the bottom down, flip the wings out, flip the head up, and we got ourselves a tiny little Laserbeak. It'd be nice if there was, something up here. I get the distinct feeling that he originally was going to have some kind of extra bit that pegged into the back, but that was probably left off due to cost cutting. One thing that I do really like is he pegs into the standard Siege peg port, so he can be carried around, or pegged into Autobots in different places that he can just, peck them to death. when compared to other deluxes, he's roughly the same size, though he does have a bit more bulk in the back, unlike, Blue Streak and Warpath here. But this Soundwave is dwarfed by Siege and Earthrise Soundwaves. And that makes sense, because we're talking about a deluxe class figure versus 2 Voyager class figures. And then comparing the Laserbeaks isn't exactly fair, because again, size class differences. Or maybe we should start calling them price point differences. And I mean, it's not even fair to compare these guys in robot mode, though I do find it interesting that Earthrise Laserbeak looks very similar to the way that the character was designed in Cyberverse. Putting our bird brain back into the chest, let's get in the transformation. Start off with, take the fists and fold them up into the forearms, and then come to the backpack, open up these little side panels, and then flip the antenna around and lift the backpack all the way up. Come down to the legs and turn everything around 180 degrees and flip up the toes into the shins or the legs and combine them together, and then return to the top of the figure. Take the backpack and bring it up and all the way over the robot head. Take the arms and fold them up and back like this, and you really put it straight back. Fold the shoulder pads up like that, and then we can close the panels that we had open before. And before we fold the arms up, turn them so that the red points are pointing, or the red bits are pointing to the outside of the vehicle mode. Fold it up, and they should snap into place. Now that we've got part of the truck done, fold the antennas section down, flip the legs and hips up, and they will peg into place. Flip the grill up and peg that into place. And we're done. I really like this alt mode. I think it works really well for Soundwave. And you have the bonus of being able to flip down the grill and deploy Laserbeak from the hood. Or the bonnet, if you're in Britain. Either way, I really like this alt mode. It's a fun transformation. It's not hard, and it's just nice looking. It holds together well-ish. The only complaint I have is lack of paint. It really needs more paint. And let's face it, it doesn't have much in the way of ground clearance on the back there. You're not going to get much in the terms of the doot-de-doo on this one. I realize it's not totally fair to compare this deluxe class figure with its Voyager class brethren, but as you can see, he actually scales okay to the different versions of Soundwave we've gotten in the past two-ish years. Between Space Barge and Tape Deck, I actually really like this version, and I would love if Hasbro gave us a Earthrise Siege quality version of this Soundwave. The last figure in this set is Starscream, and of the three, he is my favorite. He has an absolutely fascinating transformation, and he's got some cool accessories, including the chest missiles, which is, I'm not gonna lie, that's a little weird. I would have liked it if there were 2, but he comes with those chest missiles, null rays, and then the guns that attach to his arms. It's a really interesting figure, and the coloring needs to be a little bit darker, but I'm okay with the kind of pearlish white that they're going for because they have highlighted it with nice, bright, vibrant other colors. And there's the, typical Starscream darker tones throughout the figure. Just like Prowl, he sports the clearish plastic bits, for the weapons, that is, not for the plastic. And yeah, I'm really kind of happy with this figure. The missiles can peg into either side of his chest on these little pegs, or you can actually peg the missiles into the tip of the gun, or any gun, not that that makes any logical sense, but at least it looks cool. The face sculpt really works well, but like Prowl, it just feels too thin, but I guess that's what they're going for with the Cyberverse line. Posability-wise, head is on a ball joint as opposed to swivels. Ball joint at the shoulder, though the posability is affected by the wings, but hey, look, you can fold the wings back. That's awesome. Swivel at the bicep, bend at the elbow, fists do articulate on a swivel. There is a torso swivel, ball joint in the hips, swivel at the thigh, bend at the knee, way far for the transformation, and then there is some toe and ankle articulation, but you gotta be careful because of the way the ankle transforms. unfortunately, there is no way to plug a flight stand or anything into him. You're going to have to go with one of those stands that's got the little claws that maybe could fit up under here behind the wings on his back. This version of Starscream is utterly dwarfed by his Siege and Earthrise counterparts. Now for the transformation, you need to be aware that this transformation is far more complex than either Prowl or Soundwave. To start off with, we're going to remove the guns. And yes, I realize that they go on the forearm and not on the shoulder or the upper bicep. I'm fine with that. Okay, start off with come down to the feet and fold the ankles all the way out like that. And push the legs together, and then the gray ankle components also need to be pushed together. Then come to the tail wing on the back of the figure and split it and fold the entire shoulder sections and back open like that, like you're literally splitting a hot dog or something. While Starscream is looking like a reject from a JoJo anime, go ahead and come to the back and grab the back, what's left of the back, and just get your finger underneath and just pull the entire chest section up and away out of the chest. Open up the cockpit and fold the head down, close the cockpit up, flip the front of the plane mode out like that, take the entire torso and turn around 180 degrees, fold the cockpit section all the way down across the figure's butt. We fold up the hips into the chest, and then make sure that the upper legs or thighs are parallel to the, well, to the what was the backpack, and then fold it up so that the legs are flat on the bottom and they're in parallel with what was the back of the figure, or in this case, the back of the figure. Then that will allow you to fold the nose cone down, and it looks off, but this is right, honestly. And then you take the gray sections and fold them back and get them clipped into place right back here. That little orange piece will peg into that peg hole, and just getting everything lined up correctly, it's a pain. It is not that easy. And even with everything lined up correctly, it still just does not want to go into place the way you want it to or the way you think it should. For the arms, when you're finishing up the transformation, there's this little tab on the back of the shoulders that'll tab into the bottom of the legs or just above the ankles. And there's a little tab hole under the wing that will, well, the elbow will tab in there. So tab that in, fold that down, and tab that in. Not gonna lie, I really like this alt mode. Is it perfect? No. I really hate the fact that there are robot fists right there, but overall, I'm okay with it. I'm just gonna let it go. I think this alt mode works incredibly well. It's not perfect, but overall, it's pretty darn good. Again, I wish it had a little bit more paint. I would have loved to have seen the red carried over into all the wings. I would love to see some more color in certain spots. I would love the blues to actually be the same across the entire figure, but these are all Cyberverse problems. Oh, I would also like a little bit of black right up there, but I'm pretty sure I can do that myself. Yes, it still looks like there's a giant robot, or there's a robot folded up under the jet mode, but, I mean, we've had that for so long with Seekers. Who cares at this point? In this mode, you can definitely add the little blasting gimmicks, and there is one nice addition. Right underneath the nose cone, there is a peg for demissiles. And I greatly appreciate the fact that they added that so that you can have all of the weapon effects mounted there. Yeah, the missiles are really large and look like they come from nowhere, but who cares? At least you can mount them and they look like they're supposed to be fired from the front of the plane. So I'm okay with it. Overall, these three figures are all great, but in order of my least favorite to most favorite, Prowl, Soundwave, Starscream. I really like this Starscream. I hope we get a Thundercracker and a Skywarp. I'm sure somebody will mod them, so really hoping we see that. And I'm probably going to take a paintbrush to it and paint in some spots because I like the figure that much. So folks, let me know what you think of these three down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I have been BaltMatrix, and I'll catch you next time. Alright friends, BaltMatrix here, and this is the first combination for Dragon Force Series Season 3. We're going to need Lion and Gorilla. And then there's going to be something else going on here, so we'll get into that later. First, let's go ahead into getting these guys combined up. Starting with Gorilla, we're going to come to the arms and literally just rip them apart. Rip them off, put them off to the side, take Gorilla, extend its legs out, like that. Transform it like we're going to get it into gorilla mode. And I can't remember which way this slides. Turn the hips, fold out the front skirt armor like so. Fold that down. Take the gorilla head and make it so it's just pointing like that. Stand it up. And that's it. Now for the lion, remove the uber shoulders, or shoulder pads. Take the tail off. Then fold the legs up, and the back of the legs will peg into the thruster, like that. And like this. And then the arms here are supposed to fold back. And according to the directions, you just point them directly behind, like this. Which, yeah, that's the way it's supposed to go. But it feels like they're supposed to peg in somewhere, but they do not. They just kind of rest like this. They almost feel like they're supposed to fold back, and then these pegs are supposed to go there on this side. But they can't reach. They just cannot reach. So, according to the directions, you're just supposed to put them back like that. Next, we're going to come to the gorilla and flop the lion on top. I like to pull the lion head out just a little bit so we can get their little connector bits inside that will snap into place on these slots right there. So getting this lined up is a little bit tough because the arms and the shoulders have a tendency to get in the way, but it'll go on. Then take the head and fold it all the way back. Take the sword, unpeg it from the tail, fold the handle all the way down, and then there is an open hole. You have to slide the lion head forward in order for this to go down correctly. And then grab the big old shoulders or arms and peg them into place and get them lined up. And believe it or not, this monstrosity is it. This is it. Oh, right. You do have this giant lion head that is supposed to simply just peg in right here, but it really doesn't, except for these little pegs down here. And that's the first combination. It looks bad and disproportioned. And boy, does it have a giant lion sticking off the back like that. That's real dumb. Okay, so what do we do about it? Well, along with the lion face are these extra giant thruster bits. And, well, we're supposed to use these, and the shoulders. So let's get to it. Pull off the shoulder pads. Next, pull off an arm and just extend the shoulder. Once that's extended, you can then peg the shoulder into one of the red lion's shoulder pads and reattach it. Next, come down to the crotch and flip up the skirt, and then collapse the legs like this, and then we can put the skirt back. Come to the bottom of the feet and flip out these connector bits, and they will snap into place. Come to the thrusters and grab the tops, pull them apart, and then flip out these little gray bits. These will form heels. Then find the connector port inside, and the gorilla bits will connect, and then push them up, and we've got feet. And then we'll attach the feet. Unfortunately, one of my feet already is broken, and it actually came like this, so I just have to be very careful with it. So, connect that up. Ah, geez. And the amount of force this requires is really uncomfortable, but yeah, there's really no fixing that because the plastic already snapped off, so I just have to be careful. And here we have the first combined mode, whose name I haven't got a clue about. And it's pretty good. It's big. It's posable. Except for the heel. I'm probably just gonna have to buy another component. Careful. Because that heel is super mission critical. Dang it. The overall look of the figure is really good. I like it quite a bit. It works well. It's just that heel. That heel is really problematic. So I might order a replacement piece from Toys just so I can make sure that I've got the heels working correctly. And oh, I have the arms backwards. What am I doing? The heck with it. I'll fix it later. That's something that's really weird about this, is it's so easy to mix up those hands, as you can see. Just, if you're not paying attention, like I was, you could easily mix them up. Again, not the biggest problem in the world, just be wary of that. So this is the first combination. I've got 2 more to go, but I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to do them because of the heel issues. So yeah, let's see what I can do. Here's the scale that we're talking about here with this figure. It's only gonna get bigger from here. So thanks for watching. I've been BaltMatrix. I'll catch you next time. You know what? Let's just go ahead and do all of them. So the next combination is going to involve a mad shark or an angry shark. And for this, we quite literally just rip it apart in shark mode and then split it in half. Next, we pop the red shoulder pads off and attach them to the ever-growing backpack and take the fins and fold them up as much as possible. You'll also notice that I went ahead and fixed the arms. We then need to make sure that the feet are set up such that the pegs, the yellow pegs there, are pointing to the outside of the legs, so that we can then peg some fins on. Then what we do for the actual shark bits are take them and fold them in half, and got to make sure that that head is correct and flush, and then that will snap together. And I'm gonna have to futz with this because this head does not want to sit flush. Then what we end up with is something that looks like this. Take the arm and turn it around and fold it up so that it's under the jaw of the shark, like that. And then this whole thing will peg into the outside of the shoulders. And here we have the set with Mad Shark. This is literally just called 3-bot combination or 3-robot combination. I like the look. The connection, though, for those fins down on those legs, very tenuous, but the shoulder-mounted laser cannons and the shoulder-mounted sharks, those work fine. Again, I'm running into a lot of problems with the feet. The feet on mine are just kind of falling apart. You saw the break on the one ankle already. I'm starting to see hairline fractures on the other ankle, so that's why I've got it back so far, because if I don't have it back that far, and with the top heaviness of all this junk up here, it's just gonna fall over, unfortunately. The next combination requires red, green, blue, or light blue, and orange. And I kind of have a confession to make. I didn't realize it, but apparently while just, combining the bits, some pieces snapped off, specifically this piece right here, and there's already some marring of the plastic on this, and then this piece has one crumpled connector in here. So yeah, I'm probably just gonna have to order another set, but we'll trudge on. So both light blue and orange will do the same thing. We've already done part of it with getting it into beast mode. So the first thing we're gonna do is fold up the rear legs and then make sure they're kind of pointing straight down, come inside, and literally just kind of pull them apart to see if we could get, well, according to the directions, there's supposed to be a little bit of a give. That's not working. Oh well. Next, come to the chest, open the chest up, fold this collar up, close the chest, and bring the head all the way forward. Grab the shoulders and detach them from the transformed beast mode, and then kind of flip the arms all the way around, straighten things out, and then just kind of get these combined up and pegged in together, like that. And then fold the beast legs up such that they can, just kind of sit back here without any issues. So this is what it's supposed to look like, and then we take one of the connector bits, spread the legs, and plug one of the toes into the knees, or this area just below the knees, like that. So that's going to be a foot, according to the directions. This is funny. The step's missing from this guy, but it's on orange. You take the feet, fold them down, and that acts as heels. So we just gotta... That explains why those are so tight. Alright, there we go. That works. And then we do the exact same thing for orange, and we'll just plop them. Then we'll just add these two as legs for the combine mode. And in terms of accessories, lastly, we take these guns from light blue, peg them together, and slide the giant freaking sword bit in, and then we've got a sword. But that's not all. Then the blue pieces, or the blue horns of the deer, peg into the front of the sword. We've got a bigger sword. And here we have 4 robot combination. I'm not kidding, that's what it translates to, 4 robot combination. As you can see, we had to return the shoulder pylons, or shoulder pads, and then add some animals for feet. This thing stands a lot better than the other version does, and it's significantly taller. The other one's feet only came up halfway. I mean, look at that. The connector is almost half as big. Jeez. Yeah, this is a big mode. And we're not even done yet. The next combination forgoes lion completely and then relies on the head, the extra mane, mad shark, gorilla, wolf, deer, and then these bits, and what looks like a bow and arrow, or at least a bow. So to start off with, we gotta build a torso using these components. We'll take the thrusters and kind of just put them together and then wrap the bow around them and peg them in to these side components, or these side pegs, which a little bit harder to do than you think. And then there are these little slots on the side that these tabs will peg into. And then this whole section is supposed to peg into the back of the lion's head, like that, and it just barely does. So that's going to be our torso. So one thing I did notice is this pops off. That's nowhere in the directions at all. Okay, there we go. The arms connect very easily to the sides of the bow, and then we can slide the head into place in this giant cavernous hole up top, and then Mad Shark's wings peg into the back. I think this mode is the best of all of them. There's going to be one more mode that we're going to get into, but I think this one works the best. Unfortunately, the joints are all getting a little bit clickety, ratchety, the kind of noises that joints make when they're about to fail. So I'm going to be real careful with this set going forward. This, without Lion, it stands up so much better and looks way cooler. I think, at least. I mean, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different robots in here, and that's what it's called. 4 robot combination. I like this the best, as I've said. Yeah, the directions are a bit crap, but I figured it out, so yay, go me. Now on to the final combination. So what are we doing? Well, we're doing keeping this combination and then adding a whole bunch of mess of stuff up top. We'll start off by popping off the shoulder pads and then adding the Mad Shark back to those spots where it was before. And this is the final combination. We've got Mad Shark pegged in on the shoulders, and then there are the wings hanging off that are pegged into the red shoulder pads, and then we've got all of them combined up, and this is the final form. For real this time. And while it's just a smidge shorter than Predaking, I think you could give Predaking a run for his money. I really like this set, but it's not without its flaws, and it is a little bit pricey. These are the Voyager class figures. I'm very tempted to pick up the Deluxe class set just to see what the differences are. My biggest complaint with this set are the joints and some of the connector bits. And let's face it, if you're going to have a giant robot, don't make it so you have to have extra bits. I don't like that. That's just a personal pet peeve. But overall, the set's pretty good. So if you're thinking of picking it up for yourself, head down to the link in my description there for sirtoys.com. That's where it'll be. Thank you so much for watching. I have been BaltMatrix, and I'll catch you next time. Hey friends and enemies, it's BaltMatrix, and today is the first review of 2021, and we're looking at Earthrise Thrust. This figure was purchased for me by my good friend Grim Locamus and shipped cross-country, and it finally showed up. It is your typical Earthrise packaging in the weird trapezoidal box. Love the artwork. Simply love the artwork. Alright, let's open them up and take a look. This Target exclusive comes in kind of a burgundy/maroon, black, with some nice highlights there right at the chest. And that face sculpt is pretty good. We'll do an up close on the face sculpt. I like the fact that the purple, white, and maroon knees, or knee guards, work well for the figure. And I'm really happy that they bothered to, give us the VTOLs. One of the things that I love about the VTOLs is that they have ports on the bottom, so you can plug in any siege-related weapon into the bottom of the VTOLs. It kind of breaks the illusion of functionality, but I like it. It's a nice touch. And here, once again, are the ports for the VTOLs. We also have a siege port on the bottom of each forearm, on the top of each shoulder, on the area just below the knee on the outside of the leg, and at the bottom of the foot on each heel. Thrust's posability is exactly the same as the others. Head is on a ball joint, shoulders are hinges and swivels, swivel at the upper bicep, a little bit over 90-degree bend at the elbow, no fist articulation. There is no torso articulation, but move the skirt armor out of the way and the figure can get forward and kick it back a little bit. Over 90-degree bend at the knee, and then feet that bend enough. Like all the figures using this mold, he has a peg stand hole on the back of his kibble, and he can pull off some really nice peg stands. Wait, that doesn't sound right, but you know what I mean. He looks good on a stand. These three bad boys together look so darn good. I just love the Ramjet, the Thrust, and the Dirge. I'm super happy to have all three of them, and I realize I'm in a kind of fortunate position because so many people weren't able to get a hold of Ramjet and Dirge because, oh, damn it, Amazon exclusives. Dirge's transformation is exactly the same as all the other Seekers in this, or using this mold. Same as Starscream, Skywarp, Thundercracker, Dirge, Thrust. I really do like it. It's like the best version of the Seekers we've ever gotten, transformation-wise. I just wish the knee guards folded up a little bit better on the Seekers. I can't argue with the way they look in jet mode either. The red, white, and blue motif that we've got going with the three work well, but it's kind of like an evil red, white, and blue. Man, I really like all of them. One thing I have noticed is, Thrust doesn't have the black nose that Ramjet and Dirge has. Weird. Never noticed that before. Thank you so much, Grim Locamus, for picking this figure up for me. It is also available on Target.com, though it's been going in and out of stock like crazy. So if you want to pick it up, I strongly recommend just kind of tracking it down, or check your local Target, because he's showing up in local Targets now. The fact that all three of these are exclusive sucks, but I'm glad that Thrust is at least in a major store that people can get to. Now, major store here in the United States, but it's something. I would prefer all of these be available on the Hasbro Pulse. That would be great. We'll see. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. So folks, let me know what you think of Thrust down in the comments. Be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. Thank you so much for watching this video review. I've been BaltMatrix, and I'll catch you next time.